Gold Eagle Actual, Shadow 1 is weapons hot. We're burning daylight here.
Copy, Graves. Stand by.
Call of Duty is a franchise that runs in cycles, and for many people it's the Infinity Ward games that are the true Call of Duty, but they only come every few years. This perception has been furthered by Black Ops Cold War being a little bit disappointing, and the World War II era Vanguard feeling pretty cookie cutter. You have to go back to 2019's Modern Warfare for the last game that was really universally praised and received with open arms. So it's no surprise that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 has been expected as the second coming, arriving to save the day and return some glory to this prestigious long-running franchise. Modern Warfare 2's story picks up 3 years after Modern Warfare, with Captain Price's Task Force 141 up and running, dealing with global threats. One of those threats is General Ghobrani, the leader of Al-Qatadi, who, after being killed, is then succeeded by Hassan Zyani, who in turn goes on a quest of revenge. He teams up with a drug cartel and transports stolen missiles, which he plans to use on the US of A. Of course, it's down to the 141 to stop him. The campaign is a good length, globe-trotting between Mexico, Amsterdam, and fictional places such as Al Mazrah and Las Almas. One thing that we really enjoyed during our run through the campaign was the pacing. Enemies now take a bit less to down them, helping missions feel very fluid and never outstaying their welcome. Though there are a couple of missions, such as Recon by Fire, in which things do slow down, but they've been expertly placed to balance the overall pacing at the right times. After a run of a bunch of fast-paced action, it was always nice to spend time in a ghillie suit in a tribute mission to the original Modern Warfare's All Ghillied Up. Another aspect that we enjoyed is the use of novel and interesting mechanics. One mission has you directing Ghost via CCTV, for example, and there's another callback to the original Modern Warfare games, as you're placed into an AC-130 and are giving cover to the rest of the 141. There's even some elements of crafting in later levels as you try to survive against extreme odds. While, yes, this game does lean on a lot of the same kinds of action set pieces that we've seen in previous games, there's also a lot of variety thrown in for balance, and it feels great to play through. The difficulty also seems to have been increased just a touch, with enemy soldiers coming for you in places that you wouldn't expect the AI to go. In one mission, we snuck up on a guard and killed him, only to then be tracked down moments later when another guard radioed in and got no response. It's something that even full stealth action games often overlook. Elsewhere, they can react to follow even the slightest glimpse of you, making some segments a tad frustrating to overcome when you can get quite boxed in. You need to respect this enemy AI instead of rushing ahead like in the older games. In addition to the returning characters, we have to give out a shout to the newcomer Alejandro Vargas, a Tier 1 member of the Mexican Special Forces who allies with Price's 141 during the campaign. He's a fantastic addition to the roster, instantly fitting in as a man willing to do the right thing, no matter to the cost to his own well-being. The disappointing counterpoint to that is the diminished role for Farah Karim. She had quite a large role to play in Modern Warfare 2019, so seeing her reduced to a bit appearance in one mission in the sequel feels like a bit of a waste of all of that build-up for the character. Otherwise, the other characters are all returning in full force, diving a little deeper into their personalities and developing some of their relationships. It was really quite cool watching the friendship between Ghost and Soap blossom through a couple of missions. There's even dialogue options now where the characters get to talk to each other. They bear no impact on the story or the missions, but it is cool that you can choose how to respond in certain situations. And the campaign is the perfect graphical showcase, because Modern Warfare 2 has no right looking as good as it does. The jaws will hit the floor during the photorealistic cutscenes as they look simply stunning, and Infinity Ward has clearly spent no expense on making Modern Warfare 2 look absolutely impeccable. We played the campaign on PS5 and had no issues whatsoever with frame rate or stuttering or anything like that. It just runs as smooth as silk. On the whole, Modern Warfare 2's campaign isn't as good or groundbreaking as its predecessor, but it's still a seriously fun thrill ride from start to finish, and it's one that we can imagine seeing ourselves running through again to experience the quite frankly excellent set pieces that it still offers. Of course, the biggest part of any Call of Duty game is always its multiplayer, which has been refined over the years in countless games. Modern Warfare 2 has done its best to build upon Call of Duty's previous iterations, but not without some flaws. For one thing, it just feels a little bit bare bones at launch. There are some very simple things missing, such as options to change operator skins and executions, things that were present in the first Modern Warfare. While the menu system has taken a clunky step backwards as well, often slowing the game down or just generally looking a little bit ropey. In particular, when matchmaking, you can see the game just basically freeze for multiple seconds before immediately loading into the game. Even getting to other modes outside of multiplayer can throw you off, having to scroll down to find them. The way that you unlock guns and attachments has also been changed, with unlock conditions being tied behind certain weapons, and then all of this being tied together on a progression track. You can see why this could be a good idea, pushing players to try a little bit of everything. At the same time, players might not want to have to use weapons that they don't want to, just to access some of the better guns and attachments later on. And then you also have the simple facts that the base guns that you're given at the very start of multiplayer, they're very, very good. A further new element that's been added is the ability to make small adjustments to the tuning of your weapon attachments once you reach maximum level. This allows you to fine-tune that weapon's area of performance, and one of the more interesting things that this allows you to do is adjust how close the optic is to the screen when you're aiming down the sight. At the time of writing and recording though, this feature has been disabled because it can cause crashes to the game. As for the actual moment-to-moment gameplay, Modern Warfare 2 will feel similar to what you're used to, with a couple of changes. In a bid to add a little bit more realism to the combat, Infinity Ward has removed the ability to slide cancel, so sliding now makes your character do a dramatic front dive to the floor, stopping shortly thereafter. Another change is in the way that you mantle, with climbing now requiring 2 button presses. The first one hangs you onto a wall, or whatever you're trying to climb up onto, and the second button press then actually gets you up onto it. It's an odd change to make, as more often than not, you literally just want to climb up, and we found ourselves getting shot while climbing quite often because we forgot that it's now 2 button presses. It's something to get used to, but it will feel a little bit weird for quite some time. There's your standard suite of traditional Call of Duty multiplayer modes on offer, from Team Deathmatch all the way up to Hardpoint, Domination, and the larger scale Ground War modes. 2 new modes have been added as well though. There's the first, which is Knockout, which sees you and your team duke it out over bags of cash, or until the other side has been completely eliminated. Revives, however, are possible here, so you can make some dramatic comebacks. The second is Prisoner Rescue, which is basically the same mode, but instead of cash, you have to try and rescue prisoners or prevent them from being rescued. Both of these modes feel like alternate versions of Search and Destroy though, and in turn, they then feel like they're simply covering the same ground, rehashing the same ideas. And again, we've got another feature missing. At the time of writing, hardcore modes are not in the game yet, but will be when Warzone 2.0 is launched later in November. Finally, there are 3 co-op missions to sink your teeth into, which feel like an offshoot from the main campaign, with Kate Laswell sending you and a friend on various missions to help various war efforts. You can choose a kit, which is for the Medic, Assault or Recon class, and this gives you an assortment of field upgrades, perks and kill streaks to use in the missions. The Medic, for instance, gets access to a gun that can instantly revive a downed teammate from range, but at the consequence of only being able to equip 2 armor plates compared to the Assault's ability to stack 3. The missions are generally fun, with high praise going to the fact that they've got checkpoints, so you're not sent all the way back to the beginning if you die. The first mission is quite short and pithy, and that really does not prepare you for how big the second mission will be, which requires you to scavenge and use vehicles just to get across the map in a reasonable amount of time. The third is then closer to a horde mode as you defend against waves of enemies. Sometime in future, this will be expanded with a 3-player mission that will take inspiration from Destiny's raids as they blend together puzzle solving and pitched battles. These, in general, are a welcome distraction from the intensity of the multiplayer, but still also provide you something that you can play with your mates. In general, there's some rough edges to Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 that keep it from hitting the same heights as 2019's Modern Warfare, though most of its flaws can and likely will be fixed or improved through patches. Still, right now there's an action-packed story to play through, there's plenty of multiplayer, and a light co-op mode that's fun to dive into, with the promise of more of this in future. With Warzone 2.0 just around the corner, the future is certainly bright for Modern Warfare 2. thanks for checking out our review. Let us know in the comments below what you think of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Is it the best thing since sliced Modern Warfare 1? That doesn't quite make sense. Before you go though, make sure to like, subscribe, click the bell icon, the usual YouTube things, and come visit us over on the6thAxis.com. Hopefully we will see you soon. Goodbye.
Changing mags.
Confirmed. Enemy KIA.